The Mopar monster truck is back. A guy desperately needs to get those gigantic monster truck tires on this thing. But let's be honest, it barely pulled itself over here on the transport tires. It runs, but poorly at best. That's good. No, not really. We've got to dig into that. It needs to run better, it needs to make more power in order to even attempt to pull those big tires around. So that's where we're gonna dig in today. We got to do something with the fuel system on this. The shifter is basically gone. Those are two of the biggest things right out of the box. And that's where we're gonna start. Guy's gonna throw Holley EFI on this thing. Yep, I'll explain why here in a minute. And then we've got a new, some sort of fancy ratchety shifter thing, because right now I don't know what gear we are in at all. Reverse is obvious, that's about it. And I got a message from Larry, the previous owner, and he's got some insight as to what's going on with this rig. We got a lot of work to do. Let's dig in. Still need fenders and doors for this. So let's address the two-legged calf in the room here. I know a lot of you are going, oh, here we go. Another EFI thing or whatever. Well, a few things. Okay, first of all, I did want to put a carburetor on it and just be done with it. But do it cheap, you do it twice. Someone said, I don't know if they're still around or not, I do like cheap. That was a bad example. Anyway, what I'm saying is a guy was heavy into the off-roading scene. Before I got into rat rods, hot rods, and classics, true story. Built many of them. Guy enjoyed mud bogging and rock crawling and rock bouncing and all of that stuff. And one thing resonated throughout that community: if you got a carburetor, good luck. They do not like being upset. The jarring and the bouncing and the inclines and the declines and the sudden elevation changes and all of that upsets any carburetor on the planet, and they run poor, they choke out, they flood, they do all these things. Now there's tips and tricks over the years that people have done. Some companies have even come out with a off-road carburetor, but the fact still remains, you can't change a float in them. The technology is the technology. Ironically, I found that the Quadribog ends up being the best right out of the box in some of those cases, but in all of the sports I just mentioned, all the way to mudslinging, mud racing, mud bogging, rock bouncing, hill climbing, actual professional monster trucks have all switched to EFI. You could flip that thing down a hill end over end and you're still gonna have the right amount of fuel going in. Probably still run, actually. So if we throw a carburetor on this and we allegedly start driving through tree rows and running over stuff and mud bogging, I don't know. It's going to be jarring the carburetor around. We're going to get frustrated and have to tear it off anyway and do EFI. So let's just get it done, check the box to be over with. And I went with the Sniper 2 system. It's the newer system. Just put one on lawsuit and I was really impressed with it. And then I found out doing some research, you can add different screens to this for monitoring. So instead of buying a different gauge cluster, digital gauge cluster, spending money on that, and then trying to figure out how to put multiple different temperature sensors and oil pressures and all of this to get everything to integrate so I have gauges and the Sniper 2. Holley said, hold my cold snack. Well, now you can have the 3.5 or the 5 or the 7 or the 12-inch Pro Dash. Boop, plugs right into the Sniper 2. So now you no longer have to run the Terminator or the Dominator, the big boy stuff, to have that beautiful digital display. So that's nice, they go hand in hand. So I picked up some gauges. We can wood screw that to the dash or something. Maybe some double-sided tape. Wood glue. Maybe wood glue. I haven't got that far yet, but all of that will play nice, okay? So that's why we're gonna do that. It is the here and the now, you know. It is hot out. Eyelids are sweating. So let's start with that. I think we pop the hood, start bolting stuff on, getting wiring done, then we'll have to start figuring out a fuel system, a return line. Once we get it fired up and running again, then we'll come back to the shifter. Oh, I gotta show you this. This is wild. So a guy was in the other shop wrenching, And all of a sudden I hear just this kaboom. And she echoed in the holler here like something else. And I thought, there went the Myers propane tank. That's what, I mean, I came running out the door with 2 cold snacks and a shovel, ready to fight fires. And I'm looking around going, I don't see nothing, you know? I couldn't figure it out. Well, the next day I was out here rooting around. I think I was getting the push mower out. And look at this. This tire just out of nowhere exploded and sounded like an absolute bomb going off. So we're gonna have to swap that out too at some point. I'd like to drive this with the new setup on it. And if it runs goodly enough, then we gotta get the big tires on. Yeah, sweet. A lot of you already know this, but I've got a really bad back, a pending knee surgery, and severe tennis elbow. And the reason I tell you that is working off the ladder last time wrecked me for about a week. So we're gonna use the old S-bias as scaffolding. Measured it up and I think it works pretty good. How do you open this? There we go. Ha ha! Still junk. Sweet. I'm gonna bring this back a little bit more. I feel like I'm gonna boop, right betwixt them. Guy kind of likes to lay everything out so I could just start wrapping the old brainstem around her. You know what I mean? So we got the old, the throttle bog with the fuel squirters and all that. The beep boop box with the blue teeth and the temp stabber and the doodad whirly woo pigtail things. And then this is the PDM, their power distribution module, which I found super handy. The last one I did, everything plugs right into this. It's like a central unit. You're not dragging wire in all over the place. In fact, I think the only wire I ran into the cab was a 12-volt switch, which was super easy. Otherwise, everything just plugs right into that, and you're done. And here you see, you can run it off of your phone now with the Bluetooth module. You got the 5-inch display, the 3.5, and it doesn't show it on here, but I believe the 6.8, or they call it a 7 and a 12. And then we got the wiring harness in here with the deconstructions and the all-important stickers. And then this is the master fuel kit that has the pumpulator. Wow, they really got a big dog in here. And all the fittings and whatnots. I mean, it's a complete kit. The filter, the hose, everything that we should need. The only thing that's not going to be in this kit is my return line, because we have a fuel cell in this that's kind of, I don't even know what it is or if it's actually even a fuel cell. So we're going to have to figure out how to plumb fuel back into that at some point, but that's down the road. I'd like to get this. Done first. Then we'll worry about, I better get the sticker out of here. Then we'll worry about the other stuff. I think that's the main dog right there. So where guys going to start is getting the edel broken off of here. We'll use that as a wheel chock for the gator so it doesn't roll. And then we'll bolt this guy on, and then I can figure out what we're going to do for, like, this is just a long bolt basically with a bunch of nuts and stuff. Maybe that'll work again, but we got to figure out this stuff here and all of that. And these should be really similar. See the bolt pattern here? Or is this the narrow? I can never remember if it's narrow or not. Well, anyway, let's get this off quick, and then we can determine if this is going to slide right on or if we need an adapter-rooney. That is a performance intake style already, so we'll leave that be for now. Well, the guy's got the fuel make it happen or off pretty clean in there actually, but that is a single plane air gap intake, not helping our horsepower or torque curve whatsoever. We'd want a dual plane for sure, but it's what we got. We're going to run it for now. We'll eventually put that on the list. We'll pin her up. Boop, there it is. Come back to it, probably never. Anyway, I gotta get some carb studs, throw a new gasket on here. What? Why is that? Oh, okay. Well, we can fix that too, I guess. A guy and a gal planted a couple trees. Jessica's nursing them right now. We throw a water tank in the back of this side by side. She waters them, so I gotta go take the tools and parts out of this, slide it into a square body, bring that tailgate back here, which might give me a little more height actually, could work to our advantage. And we'll keep cranking away here. I gotta get some carb studs, and then we'll get that Holley unit mounted up on this thing. Well, the guy's back with the upgraded scaffolding here. I got it idling. The battery was a little bit low on the rig. It's probably due for one. Okay, so fuel make it happen or studs. I dug through what's left in my inventory. I actually don't have any left in stock. I sold pretty much everything at the Iola swap meet so I could buy a gas pump for the inside of my barn there. Smart. Just don't tell Jessica. Okay, so I called O'Reilly. They're going to send a couple pairs out, but we got to keep our chin down and our head up at the same time. So let's figure something out here. So I am thinking, I wonder if we move on to the exhaust here, because we're going to have to put an O2 sensor in eventually anyway. Might as well figure out what we're going to do for a setup here. Going under this homemade cross member is going to be pretty extreme. Going above it might not be bad. I don't really need much in terms of exhaust. I just need, you know, a stick that comes out to here. So I wonder if I can cut a stick in half and we just throw it in the bender and try to figure it out. Of course, I don't have any hardware, so I just grabbed the best tool ever made here and clamp this on. And then I've got this TIG rod, and I think if I just bend this up, don't worry about that. If I just bend this up kind of to my outside, then I could take that and hold it against a actual muffler pipe and try to mimic kind of that shape. And my goal is going to be to go up over this cross member and then just kind of straight back. I don't know if I even have to dump it or do anything fancy like that. I just need length to it so we can stick an O2 in here. So this is kind of what I got. We'll come up over the cross member and then down, and then just, if we want to get fancy, I need the spray for grass and weeds out here. If we want to get fancy, we'll just boop, kick it a little bit. See how it's, if we're looking straight down it, that's kind of kicked down and out. I just have to try to get the exhaust fumes out of this cab. I'm sitting about right here-ish, and the exhaust was just super obnoxious. And if I'm telling you that, heed the warning, is what I'm saying. The body mounts are great on the truck. That's good. So guys over here working on the drinker side, and look at the angle of the headers. This one is more flat. This one's got some angleizational to her. So one thing's for sure, these are not going to be symmetrical or look the same at all, which is fine. So I think it's going to be like that, and maybe I just run this side straight. No, I'll try to do a kick on it. But the great thing about having a good friend as a muffler man is I just need this good enough to run, and then I could horse trade him for, you know, doing something pretty rad on this. Maybe like a big 3-inch down and out, or maybe some like lakeside pipes or something. I don't know. We'll figure that out later. We need good enough for now. Well, the guy had one piece of scrap laying around, so we're gonna take one fresh tube and we'll hack this here. We'll mess that up, and then I got enough room to try again. See? So let me get a Sawzall, whack this off, and we'll give it a run on making our first shot. It's probably gonna be rubbish, but we'll do what we can. So we're working to get this up over that cross member. It's gonna have to go a little bit higher than I wanted. This is gonna be our rise right here. but to fit into the die, that's all I can do. So you bend this around. Right there. Then we just got to give her a kick at the end down here. And we'll do that. To keep it consistent, we'll just put both ends at the very end of the die. And then all I have to do is rotate this. And that'll give it a kick. And then we'll run it at 45 degrees here. And bam! We got a little turn down. So here's what we're going to call our driver. Hopefully this plugs in, goes over the cross member, and there's enough room there. And then kicks out a little like that. Now, gotta do the other side. Working on the drinker side. It's different because it's got a weird angle on it. Well, here would allegedly be the drinker side. I don't know. We're winging it, okay? Now I gotta take a marker and we gotta draw a line all the way around because that's gonna be our pivot point, all of our angles, all 360 degrees of them. And then we gotta clock it like this, 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 so we get the rotation correct. And then we can come back here, because this is where my welder is, spot weld it, probably go back, check it, come back, weld it all the way up. Bingo, bango, exhaust. Hope it works. So guys, got the collector bolted on here and the pipe just kind of sat in there. Now I just need to rotate it and lift it and do all those things, figure out where I want this to be. But I think I'm going to pop the captain side in first and see if I'm even close to symmetrical. Not that it obviously matters in, any way, shape, or form, but just out of curiosity. And then I'll start scribing this up and we'll take it back and weld her. Yeah. Okay. Get this collector loosely mounted. Get us close enough. Kind of like grenades. Close enough is good enough. Yeah, I still don't know what this big red cable hanging is for. Looks important and dangerous. I think we'll just let it dangle in the wind some more. Someday we'll figure out what it does when it lights it on fire. One more. There we go. Good enough. Now, ha! By golly, I would say that that's pretty darn close. Right there, I think, is where I'm going to want that one. I will take a marker, first of all. Oh no! That's all right, that's why we marked it. Okay. All the way around. And then another clock mark. There. Now, that should give us enough to go on for welding. Got to do the same with the other side. Disassemble the collectors. I should label this. Driver. I might just send it. Hold them all the way through, even though I know I should tack it. And come back. But in the 20% chance we might save 45 minutes of not bending another one and walking back and forth 74 miles, I might just buzzolate it all the way around. Okay? Okay. Glad we agree. Gonna use this as a vise. And allegedly, if I just line these up and weld it in, this should be our orientation for the passenger side. See what happens. Well, a guy did go on ahead and forget. I sent my big welder on a trailer to North Dakota. So I got a big project going on up there soon. So I rolled over the old 120. I've had this thing for years. Hopefully we got enough gas left. Nope. Okay. Let's stick these together. That's a big tack. Forgot. Okay. This should be the driver's side. It's got a really wonky angle on it. We're gonna have to make it work. We gotta make it work. Let's make it work now. Works better with the ground. Let's do that. Let's make sparks. All right, let's go test these. If they look remotely close, we'll stick weld them, bolt them up. Bingo, bango, cheapo, monster truck, exhausto. Right? Right. Music populator. Oh, it's hot. Well, by golly. I think we got it. I think that's what we're looking for. Now, we're gonna mark her out. We're gonna go right here for an O2 sensor. That ought to work, and then we can buzzolate it all up. And I don't even know that I'm gonna put a hanger on that because there's no weight. It's not doing anything. Passenger side with this goofy angle. That's gonna work just fine. A little bit of music pipe, at least get the fumes out of the cab and give us enough room to pop an O2 in this. So the computer beep bop boop box can do the A and the F's and the fuels enrichment scenario stoiches. Get the sizzle light in here. Sunset's coming pretty quick. Good enough. I wonder if I can get a little more wire speed out of this. I don't know if it's got it. Might lose her lights. I got her full tilt. Wow. There we go. That's doing good. Good enough for who it's for. Oh yeah, little 120 welder, getting her done. Well, that ain't good. That's why you don't bang your tip off of stuff. You can break them. Yeah, I'm serious. But then they look like this. Oh no. Yeah, I need a glove. Can I hold the wand together with one hand while trying to weld with the other? Oh my goodness. Whatever. Get the job done. Oh, getting some voltage. Well, that's what we got. Thanks, little welder. I'll get you some parts some other time. Also ran out of gas. But just enough. Just enough. Oh no, I need to weld that bung in. Oh no. Now what? I don't know. I was asking you. Yeah, we need an O2 sensor. About there-ish. Let me... Got a bung here. What size is that puppy? Just a tickle more. Tickled. Oh well, I think that'll do it. Now before I weld that in, got to run back over again and make sure that this is the right thread pitch for that O2 sensor. Wouldn't that be something? And then I got to figure JB Weld, tape. Ooh, duct tape. That ought to work. Well, since the MIG is broke, I gotta get this bung in and we'll be done. Broke out the TIG welder here. Get this lit up, taken care of. Get it on the truck because it is about dark. It's getting really close. Tricky little devil. How am I gonna get around this bend? Being upside. Oh wait, we control this, don't we? Do we have control of this machine? Haha! That ought to work. Good enough for the girls we date. Well, I'm so wrapped up now I can't even get out. Well, the O2 bung is in. Kind of tricky. You had to fill a gap all the way around it, but that'll work. Good enough. Let's go get this mounted on the truck quickly. We're running out of daylight. Well, driver's side's on here. I think I'm going to go ahead and plop the O2 in while I'm sitting here and get that done, and we could just dangle the wire for now. We'll grab that up in the morning. All right. It's already got some goop on it. Okay. Big wrench. I want to ruin that wire. Almost there. And give it. There we go. Now we just got to plop that side on. We got exhaust. Passenger side, good enough. Kind of tight to the frame, but that's all right. Music and smoke, piston rings can just fly that way. Now, I'm happy with it. Well, we ran out of time over here at the barn with the black sheep. Kind of got a late start to the day, and I've been bebopping around with some other stuff too. But we did get a big part of the project done here, which is some sort of exhaust to hang an O2 sensor instead of just hanging it with barbed wire flopping around behind the header there. So that's pretty good. Tomorrow, we'll throw the carb studs on, get that head unit on there, the computer beep boop throttle body thing. Figure out some throttle linkage, start into the wiring. We got the fuel system to do, all of that. Got to find a tire for this. And I actually called my friend Donnie and talked him to coming over to help too. One of the things the previous owner, and I'll read a message to you tomorrow from him when I got some daylight and my glasses. He said the rear main is non-existent in this truck, and looking at the oil splatter everywhere, I believe him. I do. And I also plan on sinking this in some water and mud, potentially. Also, it'd be nice to keep the oil in the engine. So I said, Donnie, you think you could stand under a Dodge truck and try to weasel in a rear main for me while I do some other stuff? See, he's like 3'2". I'm kidding, Donnie. You're at least 5'8", maybe. Super nice guy, super talented mechanic, awesome friend. He's gonna come over and try to help me. Hopefully he can get a rear main in this. And by the end of the day tomorrow, this thing should be running. I'm gonna go catch some sleep. We'll see you in the morning. Keep working on this thing. I ended up with 2 markers. That's pretty good. Well, good morning. Donnie's here. Well, we're at it here this morning. Donnie's coming over to help. I run into town to get some rear mains and an oil pan gasket, and I came back and he's cutting the truck in half. But it's within good reason. Here's what's going on. So he's able to get this pan down real quick like, but it hangs up, it's on the pickup tube, isn't it? And then it gets stuck on this here. So rather than unbolt the engine, undo everything, try to figure out how to lift the motor, 5 inches. We decided to finish cutting this cross member, which has already been kind of boogered up with a torch or something. And then we'll have to, you know, lightning stuff that back in. I think all I have is a stick welder and a TIG welder right now, but we'll figure it out. We cut this one, look how much it jumped. And the weight in there, the frame kind of spread out, but we can get a jack in there, or a come along or something between the frame rails, try to tighten this up. But he's going to cut the other side, and then this pan should fall right out, and then he can work his magic trying to thread in a rear main without separating them. That's the goal anyway, right, Donnie?
Yes.
We'll see what happens. Go ahead and cut the other one. You need a blade? That thing was working.
It's
Still goodish?
that thing's still decent.
All right. All right, pan is off. That looks really clean.
Yeah, it does.
I don't understand that. Pickup screen's got some junk in it.
Yep.
Stock completely, but I wonder, should we pull a main cap and a rod cap just to take a look at the bearing? Maybe after, if you're successful with the... Does that whole back piece drop down?
I think so. The way I could tell on the internet, I looked it up. I think you can take these 2 bolts and that drops down and we can get it out.
Oh, that ain't so bad. All right. Well, while Donnie's doing that, I'm going to get back to throwing the throttle body on and wiring. I also picked up some carb studs and stuff like that. And with our powers combined, we're going to get quite a bit of work done here. And we'll get to listen to Donnie using choice words under the truck today when he's trying to fight that rear main in. This is my good rug now. That gravel's tough on the knees. So here's the lower rear main. It's the old rope style. And it was, as Larry said, trashed. This is the new style here. So he's got that one pretty well ready to go, but the rope is stuck on the top side now. So I'm gonna run over and get some welding wire and he's gonna try to fish it around. The rubber ones go in pretty easy. You lube them up, they'll kind of work themselves around, but getting the old one out is always a bear. Looks like the feller whipped up a gasket here. This was like quadrajet style. We're doing square bore. There's one of those on here as well, but we'll put a new one on. I'm just taking out these old studs. We had bolts in the back, studs in the front. I got a matching stud kit just to make it easy, so we'll take those out quick, get the new studs in, the new gasket. Main unit. Coil. Yeah. There we go. Nice. So the Sniper 2 unit here moved the Beep Bop computer box from up front to the side. And that was due to some reports of electrical magnetic interference. EMF stuff. I don't know. Okay, science. This is pretty close right here. I think I'm going to try to move it over here just to back it up a little bit out of the way. Something like that, I think is what we'll do. I got enough wire there. Mazel. Thread we got here. That don't look good. Alright, get this moved over here. I had to spin the bracket around this way. This side is an open eyelet. This side was closed. This bolt is all stripped and in there weird. It's not going to go anywhere. It's definitely going to move, but for now, sure. It's gonna do the thing. So big overview here. I think the electronics I might mount right in here, close. Oh, I already worked on that. And the fuel, I think I'm going to put right there. We can come right off of this into a regulator, right into the rail, probably back towards there away from the headers. And away we go on that. So, let me finish up probably the throttle first. Well, actually I'm not too concerned about that. That should be pretty straightforward. You want to bolt through there. Could probably use the same springs and just come off of this back here. That should be pretty good. So we've got our O2 ran down there. That's the O2 we got in late last night on our Ghetto exhaust. And then we've got a coolant temperature sensor here, which needs to go right here, because we don't need this gauge anymore, because we're going to have different gauges, so I can cut that out. And then this big connector we're going to plug in a second. This is going to go to our dash, I believe. That will run everything. All heads-up display on this. So maybe I'll try to get this done really quick while I'm here thinking about it. And then we'll move on to digitals, my favorite. I think these threads are similar. So I just got to quick go head jump, yeah, snag it out, snip this one in. Snag and snip, snag and snip. And with any luck, we'll dump a bunch of coolant down on Donnie down there. I think it's dripping already.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy, there's lots of pressure. Holy smokes. I took it right in the retina. What in the world? Why was it under pressure like that, Donnie? I can't. Is that my teeth? Is that my mouth? Let me, bad radiator cap? Maybe? Head gasket? Oh.
Yeah, I thought it had that much pressure on it.
Can you spray some carb cleaner over the front of it so it doesn't drip on you all day?
Okay.
Make sure everything's nice and flammable.
Right.
Okay, that could help.
Yeah.
Well, the guy was getting hungry, but after a mouthful of Xerox, I think I'll wait a little bit, you know? Made a huge mess for Donnie. So he's fighting this back one. It is stuck in there, and that old rope style is so hard to push out. I got little pieces of welding rod and all sorts of stuff. I think he's going to try to take the new seal and work it around, see if it'll push that rope out. But it's going to be a fight. I'm glad you're here, Donnie. Tippity tap. I'm so glad that engine looks clean though. That's good. Must have been all the water that ran through it. Okay, I think the guy is going to take this battery out, give us a little more elbow room in here. We're going to put that module right there, I think. And then we got less wire to run because we're going to have to come off the battery, the sad cable and the happy one. Boy, that was something else. Okay. Ooh, I think we can run the fans off of that PDM too. Wouldn't that be nice? It would. Okay. Yeah, fan trigger. Black and yellow. Red and black. Oh, it'll run positive and negative. That'll be. And then we just set the temperature in the sniper, I'm assuming. And that'll flip that relay for us and run the fans so they're not just always wide open. We could turn them on at whatever, 160, 170. This guy can go there. I'm kind of like vertical myself. Okay, we got that PDM mounted in here. Now, I know this looks a little overwhelming, but I promise you can do this. You just go one wire at a time. Something, 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 few dimes. We're not doing any of this stuff. We're not doing any of the hyperspark stuff. So all this is gone. All this is gone. This is gone. So all we have to focus on is main power in, and then our fuel pump, our triggers, you know, and it labels everything right here. And then I found the last one I did, you got a little cheat sheet right here. Look at that. So that ain't bad. We'll get the hooker fan up in here. And then there's a bunch of stuff that we're not going to use. All this switch stuff, ignition boxes, all of that. And the one wire we have to run in the cab is a switched ignition, which really is not going to be difficult at all. There is a small hole in the firewall over there. I don't know if you saw that or not. So we should be able to fish something through there. So I'm going to start with the basics. Our batteries. So I'm going to run them first. Kit comes with those wires right here and the fittings. Get them ran, crimped, plugged into the box. Well, you can hear Donnie rapping down there. He's still working on the main. I went through and cleaned up this wiring. Trimmed a lot of stuff out of here. Wired in the fans. Got the main power, main ground, and the 12 volt switched, which I'm going to hook up the headlight and all that stuff. Miles over here. That runs up through the firewall there. Now we need to turn our attention to the main connector, which is a 16 pin that plugs into this bad boy. And I'll see if I can route it around potentially. Otherwise we'll have to come across, but I'm hoping I can go up, over, and then off of that we're pretty much going to have all of our other connections other than the fuel pump, which will run separately here in a few minutes. There's the other end of this connector, and that's going to be fuel pump. We might have to extend those. I believe that's going to go to coil. We learned that. This isn't used, and then these will end up running around into the PDM. And I can't remember what that one's for. Oh, maybe that's the ignition pin. Yeah, we don't need that either, so both of these are not needed. So it's actually fairly straightforward once you plug this in. It looks like a lot, but it's not. We're using these and these. And we run that to the coil, I believe. I'll get the main constructions out for that. But Well, I thought about swinging the harness this way and around because of the coil, but I do have enough to reach there without splicing it. So I'm gonna go with the original plan, whip it up around this way and bring it around. Got plenty of length on the main power and ground, but I'm gonna be short on all these doodabbers here. I don't have pink, white, and blue, but I do have a chunk of trailer wiring harness, and I got white, brown, yellow, and green to play with. So I think I'll just peel the green off and we'll make white, white, pink, one of the other two colors, and so forth, and you know, wire's wire. So the left turn signal could be 12 volt ignition to the, you know, it's fine. We just can't get it mixed up from there to here, and everything will be good. Then I'm going to tape it up like this, try to make it halfway neat. From there around, we'll go behind that reservoir, and I should probably get this hooked up, get some zip ties or something, start tucking this away so we could drop that battery in pretty soon here. So other than the fuel pump, I'm down to my final connections here, I believe. This is my trailer wiring. This would be 6, which I think is right here. Like that. Donnie's getting close on the rear main. That top one was a bugger. Stuck in there, and he's got most of it out. He's kind of cleaning up some of the fragments right now. The white is white. I made a note up here in marker. Pink is yellow. So this is going to be pink. What is pink? Sniper switch 12 volt, which is 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's above the red one. Right there. There we go. And then the fuel pump trigger is supposed to be blue, but that is now brown. This guy. And that is blue, number 3. 1, 2, 3. And then 1 and 2 are going to be the fuel pump whenever we get to that point. There we go. And that's really it, other than the fuel pump. Not too bad. Okay, none of this is used. 9 is blank. 10 and 11 is blank. All that. I think that's it. Ooh, a fan trigger. We don't have that. Do I need that? I must. I'm gonna have to look into that. Right there. So if I'm reading this correctly, which I don't do, but it seems like you can just run it, just, you know, program it. It says it's not set by default, but you can go in there and just set it and it'll do the thing. or if this output senses a load, the fans will run. So I don't think we necessarily need that. So that's good to know. So now we got this yellow wire here. This one's going to plug into the negative side of the coil. And this is what's going to tell, never see that again. Great. That's what's going to tell the computer beep bop boop box that the engine's actually running and what the RPM is, so it knows how to do all of the things. Now, if you excuse me for about 5 hours, I'm going to try to find the nut that just fell off of this. Perfect. So I'm starting to try to plan the fuel pump here, and kind of sitting in the center of the truck, looking out towards the drinker side of the frame rail here. We got maybe some original design stuff that probably isn't so much needed, but still in here. Maybe someday we'll cut that out. But anyway, this class 5 is really good on the backside. So I'm thinking somewhere in this region might be a good spot for the pump and the filters. I can access it. We don't have all this stuff in the way. And it's close to the fuel supply. So that'll be better for the pump. Keep it cooler. It's not going to work as hard. And if I use, just these 2 bars as a reference, for example, we know right where the pump and filters are when we slide under. So now I got to run back to the shop and get some wire and some more line. We got to run a return line as well. We'll start mocking in the fuel system right here, I think. Update on the main seal. Donnie's the man. He's still just cranking away. He's almost got it all the way out. Took the main cap off in the rear so we can get a little bit more room. Not the best news, not the most terrible news. This is, what do you think, Donnie? A C?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. I can actually catch my nail on these grooves. It's not terrible, but it's also not good. I don't have copper showing. No evidence of a ton of heat, but the poor thing's been used. We know this truck's been wide open probably most of its life, but that's not screaming needs a rebuild this minute. So we get this rear main in, doll it up. We could tootle around a little bit, do some stuff, and maybe we start searching for a 440, or I don't know, maybe we put a newer Hemi in it, like the Hemi half. I haven't really decided yet, but it'd be nice to have this reliable and turnkey, just in case a guy can't run the rig and we're trying to give rides out or something. Somebody else could just jump in, flick a key, tootle this around. But I'm going to keep on wiring. Donnie's really having fun right now, so we're going to...
I'm terrible.
I've never seen one fight this hard. I don't know if he has either.
This is the worst one I've ever done.
Yeah, Donnie's done a lot, and he's saying this is the worst. So there you go. Larry probably knew. He said, we're going to let that one just leak, keep adding oil. But he's getting there. I have confidence. If anyone can do it, Donnie can. Well, the guy's running the fuel pump wiring here. I might trim these. Haven't decided yet. They could be a pretty good wind speed indicator. I almost had to use the cord off of that trouble light, and then I found in my go bag a couple rolls of wire. I don't know if it's going to get us there. Maybe close. But I'm running around here, going to go along the wheel well, shoot over the frame, behind the exhaust, and then I'll just zip tie it right to the fuel line, because electricity and fuel, and then take that straight back to the pump. But in reality, that's how most cars are built. Anyway, so we do have to figure out a return line eventually. I might just loosely loop zip ties down, because we're going to have to run another line, and I think I'm going to put that regulator right here. So this is kind of just a precursor to all the junk that's going to run down the frame rail, and then once I get everything done, we can zip tie it together all tight and tidy. But just roughing this in for now. So now I'm over here on the step side workbench. Gonna start assembling the fuel system for this guy. And it should have everything we need. We got the fuel pump, clampulator 2000s, put it on the frame. Digital boots, I don't know that I've ever used those. The fittings with the O-rings, boop, beep. Those are important. We got 2 filters in here, or should. Got the big micron and the little micron. Of course, they use wicks because they know the deal. Then we got our regulator. Oh, that got a little smashed right there. We got all the clamps. These are all the fittings for the regulator and all of that. And they even send fuel pressure line. This is the higher, where does it say? 225 PSI. Moses Sanders. A couple extra clamps. A couple chunks of rubber. These help between the filters. So now I gotta remember which one's the pre and which one's the post. I think it's like that. Could be wrong. Let me check the constructions. Is that this? Probably.
Drink in there.
Hallelujah. Oh, I see. Look at all this. This is what Donnie's been working his tail off on.
A day on.
Yeah. These little pieces. This is the original rope from 1970. Little chunks. He wanted to make sure he did it right. You got all these little pieces out. New one is in. Hallelujah. Now it's going to go quick because all he's got to do is throw this main cap on. The other one's already pressed into this retainer. A little bit of spit on that. Do these little things go in these holes, or what is this?
I don't know, because I looked on the other one and
Do you whistle through these, or?
It looks like maybe that helps line up, but I don't know.
What are these? Help do your taxes?
These goes right here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Well, I'm glad you're here, because them would have went in the trash. So he's working away on this. I'm figuring out the fuel system. By golly, we might have this an engine again by the end of this evening. That's pretty good. I noticed back here when I was running the fuel lines, or the wires for the fuel, I should say, I got a chain link blow it out. Right there. I gotta fix that. We got 118 horsepower. That snapped that clean off. So that looks like a baler chain or something. I don't know what that is. I'm gonna have to figure out what link that is. That looks like a master link. That maybe blow it out. The other two could hold. I just got to stay off the nitrous. But pin it up. Don't let me forget that. That's a pretty decent design, actually.
Yeah.
So I was reading the.
I think these have to go in after.
Oh, you
maybe slide them up in.
Push.
There.
Oh, I see. I was reading the paperwork on these mains. Did you see it's everything from like a 3.6 liter all the way to like a 7.2 or something?
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh, there it goes.
Something's happening.
I gotta fish that.
I still can't believe how clean this bottom end is. I wish the bearings looked a little better, but there it goes. Good deal. Yeah, look here, 2.8 liter, 3.2, 3.7, 5.9, 6.3, 6.6, 6.8, 7.0, and 7.2 liter. All the same seal. It's pretty good. That's like Chevrolet good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure I've confirmed this is how this goes. You got the big micron filter, which is this way. In, out. This would be the post. This is actually a 20 micron. This says Holley 40, but I know for a fact that the Wix 33033 is a 20, which is fine. goes this way. The 33003 is the clear one. This one is the canister style. Now we can take this chunk, put it there. This chunk, put it here. And boom, that's our fuel system log basically. And we should have all of the clamp laters, everything we need right there. So I'm going to assemble this quick, and then we can take it up under the frame rail and fit this in. Donnie's been working like a madman over here. Just went and grabbed him a torque wrench. He's got the oil pan gasket on. He's fixing to torque down the main caps. He loosened those up a little bit. Had to run and get this guy. Somehow it's still at battery. Oh. Yep, it's fine. It's set. Batteries are dead, I think. But anyway, going through the motions. He'll have that licked out pretty soon. And I think that was really the bugger job for today, to be honest. On these rocks, it's tough work. Bam. Well, I suppose I need to find more oil now, huh?
Yeah.
Well, we got 4 miles out of the last oil change. That's pretty good. Was there any glitter or anything that came out?
No, it looks really good.
Oh, that's good. Threw it in a service loop right there. And then this first slice in the line, put about 37 gallons into my armpit. And then this cut down here, put another 914 into my armpit. So that's pretty good. Now I just got to wire this in, and then I got to put those clamps in here with some self-tappers, hold this pump into place. And then we'll have a pre and a post filter. And the pump, all nice and easy to get to. There's the gap between the cab and the box, just for reference. Should be easy to maintenance. I wrote on here the month and the year on the filter, all of that, of course. Donnie's got an update. It's done?
Done.
Where's the chrome pan? Thought we were adding horsepower.
Chrome won't get us home.
Chrome won't get us home, he said. It's in. New rear main seal, new oil pan gasket, everything's torqued, tightened, ready to rock. I just got to put a sticker or some sort of note on here that we ain't got any Earl in her. I'll try to find something laying around, or maybe we'll just screen that and dump it right back in. It's only got a few miles on it. That's a big part of the piece done, the puzzle pieces. So that's great. Thanks, Donnie. Appreciate it a ton. This guy is awesome. Great mechanic. I'm over here. Got everything clamped in. Just got to get the clamps to hold the pump in and connect these leads, wire that up. Fuel pump is in, getting really close to actually throwing the battery back in, turning the key and just firing the system up. See what we have. We're going to tune this on the Bluetooth module first. We got to tell it the cubic inches, naturally aspirated, you know, all that stuff, cam, and let it fire a tune in. After the tune goes in, we can then configure the fan temp, and then we cycle the key, turn it back on. We should hear the pump fire, and that's a good indication that, hey, the computer is beep booping and telling the things what to do and the stuff. And, you know, we'll just keep moseying forward a little bit at a time. Okay, we got these fittings crimped on. Hopefully no explosion. Yeah, we seem safe. Putting weather connectors in all this, because this may or may not be under swamp water pretty soon. Now, I just got to go find the nuts for this, which I think I just used one for the ignition coil. And then we got to put the clamps on here. Where did I put those self-tappers? I just had them. I got to find those too, I guess. And we'll get that clamped in there. I think we'll do that after we get the wires on. Yeah. Okay. So. Oh no. Never see that again. Oh, I'm seeing it again. Whew, these rocks. Take it out of a guy. I ain't kidding you. Ouch. Oh, man. All right. Now, fuel system's getting there. What we've got left now is the regulator, which goes on the fender well up there, and then running some line, plugging a couple fittings in. But really, this is the bulk of the work right here. Wiring the pump, getting all the filters in place. That's really the labor-intensive side of it. Oh, it looks good enough. You know what I mean? Good. I'm glad. Good to hear it. Glad we agree. Oh no, I grabbed the wrong size self-tapper. Why wouldn't I? You know, it's getting late, sun's going down. Why do the right thing? Why would we do that? So I need a 19-foot. All right, let me go get the right self-tapper. Okay. I think I got my welder on the right setting now. See if we can weld this in here. Those are inconvenient. Wonder if I flip this way. Can a guy, excuse me, quesadilla, that's what I have for lunch. Can a guy get it to go this way? Oh, word. Well, that ate yesterday's breakfast. Well, we got it. Now, do we dare try to do two? I should have grabbed that darned hammer drill when we bought at Iola Swap Meet there. Don't you think? Uh-oh. This is really good on my back. Oh, bad back. Sit on gravel and bench press 500 pounds against the drive shaft. That'll fix it. Ah! Well, we're gonna get some big feats around here now. Just call them in. Cancel! Cancel! I don't think they heard. Okay. That's looking pretty good. Can a guy get this out of here though? What? I think that's an old strap. Okay. Feels weird to just be kind of hanging out, working on a monster truck. Gonna be honest. I didn't put that in my diary last year. But here we are. It's happening. Okay. Whew. By the way, men don't have diaries. They just have the tavern. And the barkeep just takes notes. Write that down. Well, we're humming right along. We got the Holley TBI on. We got the PDM in. Most of it's wired up. Donnie got the rear main seal done, which was a big project, and huge thank you to him. While he was doing that, I worked on the fuel system. Got the pre and post filter in the pump. All that's wired. We are getting really close. I got to do the return line and the regulator. I think we're pretty much there. Add some oil, do some stuff. But I wanted to read you. This is from Larry Galloway. This is the guy that built this truck. And man, he made it happen. So happy for him. And this thing is just legendary with just making it work with what you have. He watched the video, which is humbling, which is really cool. So he wrote here, it's a 413 out of a 1970 motorhome. So that answers that question. Didn't quite know the year on that. It's bone stock. Okay. It had a tube barra on it, and the 413 had tall deck heads, and he had a 4-barrel intake, but it wouldn't fit. So he threw 440 heads on it to make the intake fit, to make the 4-barrel fit. Now that makes sense, because I didn't quite understand why you'd put low compression heads on a low compression motor. He was trying to add a performance intake and 4-barrel carburetor. Got it. Seats are out of a 73 Roadrunner. That's pretty sweet. Didn't even think about that. There's a toggle switch somewhere on the driver's door. That is the rear steer. I didn't see that. I'll have to look again for that. The rear main seal on the motor is non-existent. That's why I called Donnie. Help with that. I left the front bumper on to stand on while working on the motor. It does have kind of a ledge on it. I put up 100,000 bales of hay a year. That front bumper was to push the hay wagons into the pole barns when they got too full to drive through. So that bumper was legitimately used on the farm and ranch, and they were using it to slam hay wagons into the barn to throw hay into the loft. I'm assuming square bales. 100,000, that's a lot of hay. Wheels and tires are 960 pounds each. I was shy on that. He did have a brother Mike, but he wasn't the announcer, but he did meet the other Mike. I raced monster trucks for 47 years. Ride trucks made more money and didn't break as much. Where the top links connect to the front axle, they need attention. The bolts don't like to stay tight. That's from Mr. Larry. So that's pretty awesome. It's just another example of the car culture. Guy sold his truck, went off, sat in storage for more than a decade in a semi-trailer. He catches wind, watches the video, and takes the time to say, hey, here's what you need to work on. You know what I mean? That's pretty rad. I think I'm going to call it for tonight. I got 14,000 plates in the air, a bunch of other projects going on. We've got a bunch of steam going here. We'll come back, finish up this return line, get some oil on it, fire it up, replace this tire. You got to put the shifter in it still. Make sure that it runs better, drives better, and we're getting closer to putting the big wheels on this thing. Okay, we'll see you very soon. We'll get back on it. Well, it is about a week later. Guy had to shoot up to North Dakota, film an episode of Roadworthy Rescue. Season 3 coming out this fall. Any minute now. I'm not sure. I'm the last one to know. Great episode. My grandpa's 1946 Ford 1.5 ton with the flathead in it. Been sitting for 41 years. Got that thing fired up. It looks amazing. Anyway, back on the Baba Black Sheep here. I want to finish up this fuel system. I believe I left off. I need to get a return line popped in here in the regulator. Let's just get all of that knocked out. And then I got to go around this thing and start memorizing, you know, where I was. It's a mess. Oh, there's the constructions. They didn't blow away. I'll be. Didn't rain here apparently. We need it. Lord knows we need it. So up top here, the plan is for a guy. I don't have one, but I do know that we got to put some fittings in and whatnot, and a fuel pressure regulator. So we're going to run the fuel in to the rear, which is what the constructions say. And we're going to come out of the front. Now again, these don't have an internal regulator, so we're going to run from there to a regulator on the fender, and then out from that to the fuel cell again. That's our return. So the unit's going to get full fuel pressure essentially, but we're going to regulate it here. So it'll woe down the pressure here and make sure that we get max pressure through the system. This is a vapor guard fitting. Kind of neat. Goes from AN right to a barb style. And then you can use the clampy doodabber, the fancy ones, or just a regular high pressure hose clamp, which is what we're going to do. I'm going to put my plier on that and mar it up really good. And then this will plug right into that. Something like that. And then we'll have one running across. I think I'm just going to self-tap it. There. Probably. Got the regulator out of the kit. These don't come self-tapped, and I lost the hardware in the last week. No idea. So I found this thing, which is wrong, and tried driving it in there, not working very good. Gonna go ahead and self-tap this in anyway, see if that'll hang on. And if not, we got zip ties. Know what I mean? We're gonna have in, out to tank, and then we'll plug this side. And that's pretty much it. Normally you'd have like a fuel pressure gauge here, but we'll dial her in by ear. Shouldn't be too bad. So we've got 3/8 NPT to 3/8 barbed. That'll go on the IO, in out. 3/8 NPT to 3/8 barbed on the return side, because we're sending it back to the tank. And then we've got a 3/8 pipe plug. We're just going to plug the other side off. And then 7/8 wrench, because I'm too lazy to go find an AN wrench. This will work just fine. Yeah. Sure. Hip. Oh, I did that backwards. Doesn't really matter. I'm just putting the fuel gauge side out in case someday I want to spend the $29 and get one. Today is not the day, is what I'm saying. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Ooh, had a good L5 pop there. Allen key wrench. So there's our setup. From the sniper in, regulator out to tank, plugged off, slam this on the fender over there, bango. Let's go here where we can reach it. You know, it'd look prettier back here because the line of it comes straight across, but we'll sacrifice. I know the rest of the truck is really good looking. Then which one of these did I strip out the least? This one maybe? Oh, I gotta get that Allen key. Cause and effect. Chain of events. All All the chaos makes perfect sense. Real fuel is 105 today. I need to get this into the shop or I'm gonna have to keep taking breaks. And it's not just hot, it's like dry hot. Okay. What goes on here? There we go. Some spit lube. Return there. So we've got our fuel in and our fuel out down now. I got to crawl under the truck. Let's take a look at the fuel cell. We got to figure out how to get the return back into that cell. So this looks like a custom fuel cell here. There's no top inlet. We've got out down here, we've got a fuel gauge essentially, the old snowmobile trick. We've got a drain plug on the bottom and then we've got a drain plug on the side. And this side has a standard filler neck inlet. And there's really nothing else here. So what I'm thinking is we're going to go in the top there. We want it returning into the top or the highest point. So can a guy just pull that out and thread in a fitting and call it good? And we'll clamp this off for now. And I'll eventually get a plug for that. We don't really need a fuel gauge on this. We can just dump in 10 gallons every 15 feet, right? Okay. So Clampalize this. Best tool ever made. Then removalize. Something like that. That seems to be working. Boy, these rocks are not forgiving on the knees. Yeah. Oh boy, that's in there. Okay. Yep, yep. Got the street elbow out. Is this the right thing? Looks like it. Go get a wrench for that. There we go. Ow. 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 Oh. Gonna have to change the truck's name to Pain and Misery. You know, because that's all it's been. Okay, that is done. Well, a little Bentley swang through and helped me out. He tightened up the clamp on the fuel cell. I got the line ran down the frame with the feed line, 52,000 zip ties. My plan is to get this into the shop where it's not Satan's armpit and rocks. Then I'll slide under there and clip all of them off and stuff like that. Right now I'm just trying to get it running enough to get over there. So now we'll get back under the hood and connect that to the return side of the regulator. So scanning through this quickly, I believe I've got everything other than we got to figure out the throttle, which won't be a big deal. And I've got a 12 volt keyed source I need to hook in, which is this filler right here. So we'll have to jump inside for that. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on for now. And then we'll get the battery in here. Well, there we go. Get the battery in here, turn the key on, get that all plugged in, of course. And we're going to have to find a 12-volt switched somewhere in there. Unfortunately, I think the fuse panel is way up in the dash. Because when the light's on fire, you want it right in your face, said Mopar. Okay, that's neat. Yep. Yeah. Is this what came out of here? I don't think it is. Does it got juice? It's got juice. Okay. Super starts economy. Sure. Looks like it's got 7,000 cranking amps. So that's good. That one goes on there. Where's my SAT cable? Oh, here it is. So it goes on there. Then I gotta figure out the Goosenheimers. But I think I left my wrench dressing. Oh no, here it is. So this guy goes here. Toothless is circling the truck. He's must be on the scent of a mouse. What are you doing, bud? Okay. And then hot. It's gonna go over here. We're getting really close. We get that 12-volt ignition fired up. We can run the wizard. Run the fuel pump, check for fuel leaks, possible, very. I mean, look at the guy who plumbed it. And then fire it. Oh, we gotta put oil on this. In fact, why don't we just take a breather from wiring and do that right now before I forget. Good idea. Thanks. You know, sometimes my brain works. No, not really, but we can pretend for the moment, okay? Okay. I've got a cord of Valvoline VR1. That's good. Did I put the drain plug back in? I don't remember. Okay, that's in. How does the guy just get these to stay anymore? Okay. What do we got here? ND oil. 40 weight. Sure, that sounds great. Probably from the 90s. Throw that in there. That's 2 quarts. What's this? We got 3 left in this one. This is also VR1. Did I put a filter on this yet? I did. Uh-oh. Do I hear something leaking on the ground? I think it's leaking internally. That's fine. Okay. There we go. With the new rear main end, it'd be great to have all this oil, you know, stay inside the engine and also keep the water out. That would be pretty slick. Speaking of water, we need to do transmission service sooner than later. because it looks like Pepto-Bismol. Okay, oils in. Well, a guy climbed up in the bird's nest here. Literally. And just trying to find a 12-volt keyed source. This is what's going to actually fire up the computer. It just needs a 12-volt signal, and we want it to turn off and on, obviously. So I'm going to dig around, try to find something over here-ish, preferably. If not, we'll bring it up over here temporarily, and then we can finalize that and make it all nice and pretty once we get it in a better position. So I'm going to use the old digital meter here. We put it on the decav setting. There we go. And I'll poke and prod around, try to find some 12 volts. This is a good looking wire. No idea where that comes from, but we'll see what it's got. Well, as luck would go on ahead and have it. Well, first of all this stuff is dead. So that's been clipped out or something. So we'll shut the mouse nest for now. Oh, heater box realignment for sale. 20 bucks, I know what I got. Okay. This, anyway, has 12 volt switched. And I think, well, come here, you little devil. I think, based on the proximity to this thing, used to be the fan switch, which we're now running off of the Holley PDM, that computer box behind the computer over there. So we're not going to need this anymore. So I could actually just run this right up here, make a nice connection, and be done with this, actually. If I could ever, get a hold of the rascal. Like this. There we go. And boom! We're going to have that licked out. Now I just got to jump back down. Oh, hey, while I'm in here, where's this switch he was talking about? Is that this? Can't be. Switch in the passenger door. Switch. Let's see. See a gas cap. I don't see anything that looks switchy. He also said the door would open, but how do you do that? I guess that was a back in the day deal. Oh, there's some remnants of a switch. See the black and the red wire? I wonder if someone was monkeying with that. That used to sit up here so you could, drive, shift with the right, and do all that. I'll probably, if we get it working, put the rear steer on a button up here or a toggle switch so we can focus on what we're running over. You know what I mean? I'm going to spend a minute on this door because it would be slightly handy to be able to get out of the rig. I got it. I just put my fingers in there and started flailing around. And it opened, but now the other problem is, oofta. That's really bad on the back. But we're going to go for it. Okay. Oh! Whew! Okay. Oh, hey, look at this. Got more info. Now we can... Yes, I bet these wires... I wouldn't doubt that these go up over across to that pump over there. But anyway, well, that's nice. I can actually just stand right here now and make this connection and be done with that. Oh, here's also something. Where does that go? I don't know. Could this be also something? Okay, so got 12 volt switched here. We need to tie that in with this little bugger. And we should have full system ready to rock. Something like that. These little solder fittings are handy. I get them on the Jungle website as cheap as could be. I don't think I've had a bad fitting yet. They're hard to fail. Once you get them hot like that, weather sealed on both ends, and then solder welds the two together. You let them cool and they're like a rock. Yeah, getting 8 miles to the gallon like a rock. Chevy Big Block. Where's yours? Okay, so now, actually I'm going to keep that key on. Let's go out and look on the PDM. We should have green lights saying, hey, you need to tune me or tell me what to do at this juncture. So there's our green light. That means the computer's good to go. So now we hook up our Bluetooth module and we'll connect to this with Bluetooth. It's in the Wi-Fi's through the air, basically. And we're going to be tuning that guy right there. So now, pull out this Bluetooth module, which we're going to use this to program it, but then we don't necessarily need it. We'll unhook it because then our gauges are eventually going to hook into that. I'm waiting on a mount for that, but I'm going to show you what we're going to run in this thing. It's going to be pretty awesome. But that's way down to the shop yet. Okay. Okay. There we go. That was easy. Green blinky light. Hold this down. It's going to turn blue, I believe, eventually. Oh, there we go. Just had to click it. So now we got a blue blinky light. Going to connect to that with my Holley app and do some programming. Okay, we got the setup wizard here. We're connected. Let's start. Found it here. Snap it to EF in the eyes. You know, the Terminator broccoli injector, 4-barrel. Yep, she's got 8 cylinders. We've got 413 big cubes. Stock mild, camshaft. 750 seems fine for idle. We are running coil negative for ignition here. We got Hyperspark distributor, Hyperspark ready to run, Holley dual sync carburetor, magnetic carburetor, coil negative, or a CD box for options. Wish I could say supercharger. This does need like an 871 through the hood, let's be honest. If anybody knows an old, beat up, got drugged through gravel, sold 4 times at like a pawn shop, went to a swap meet, got spray painted, got tumbled, hung on a wall for about 4 years, but it's complete. 871 for 440 heads. Let me know. I know a guy. Okay, create bass tune. Wow. Okay, that's done already. Upload. I hear the fuel pump running. I see a leak already. Big leak. Huge leak. Let's try to fix that. It's the pipe plug on the side of the regulator. Now what? This one too? Well, I can't, there's fuel leaking everywhere. What is it? Where is it leaking now? Golly, I can't get it any tighter. Help me understand that. That's everything I had, at least 1,000 foot-pounds. Well, we're gonna hit done so it shuts off. Oh, it didn't. Well, I'll turn the key off and I'm gonna have to go get some goop or something, try to fix that. That ain't good. Here's our leak. It's coming out of this side right there. Gotta goop that up or tape it up. I got some gas oil, we'll try that. Well, I gooped that up with this stuff. I like this stuff. 10,000 PSI and holds up to gasoline, kerosene, diesel, all that stuff. But it gets everywhere. Know what I mean? But no leak. So that's taken care of. Moving on to the throttle linkage. I'm going to slide this forward and then do what they did, which is just run hardware through the side there. And that ought to work. I mean, really all that matters is, can it go full throttle? That's, you know, that's what we're after. That looks like it'll do the trick. So we'll lock her down right here. Something like that. There we go. Hip, yeah. Hip, yeah. Well, it actually is went ahead and be the next morning. Guy ran out of daylight last night and was to the point of trying to fire this thing up, but wanted to do that when we can see what in the devil is going on. Got the battery hooked back up. This is crawl in, got the ignition hanging there. Twist the thing and it should light right off. Okay. Roll the key forward. We should hear the fuel pump. Yep. Prime. That's that click. Crank it. Ha-ha! Oh. Fired. Do it again. Okay. Huh. Oh. I think I know what's going on. I've heard that before. One of two things. We're not getting an RPM signal, or the computer is shutting off. I checked that 12 volt on, but I never checked it cranking. If it's losing voltage cranking, it'll shut the computer off. So it'll fire because it's got 12 volts when it runs the pump. Twist the key, computer falls off, fires, doesn't know what to do, shuts off. So let's check that first, actually. Got the digital meter right here. Okay, so we've got see 11.5 now. But if I crank it, what do we got? 8 something. Yeah, that's probably going to be the issue. So that's probably going to be the issue, and if not, it needs to be addressed anyway. When cranking, that falls to about 8.6 or something like that, 8.5. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, Holley's really touchy when it comes to voltage. Anything under 10, it won't run. Well, that's 12 volt. Like literally any 12 volt device has a certain fall off point. If you take, for example, any standard 12 volt relay, they won't fire under like 10.6. So there's that. You know what I mean? Speaking of relay, wonder if we should try that. We got two options. We could run a hot from the battery at the toggle switch. That's ignition on, then twist the key. Or we could fancy it up and try to put a relay in place so that when we just turn the key, everything just lights off. I might go that way because I don't know who's going to be moving this truck, loading it, unloading it, and all of that. I still need to look into liability and general business insurance and everything on this. It could be bucket loads. And I don't know if that'll include someone else driving it or not. But rather than having them climb in here and flipping switches and toggles, it would be nice to say, here's the padlock key, just turn that and it fires right up. You know what I mean? So let's try that. If it doesn't work, it's a good exercise for me. And if it doesn't, then we'll put the toggle switch in. It's hot again today. Perfect. So a guy drew it up here so you can see what I'm going to do. 30 is always your hot from the battery on your relays, which is this guy right here. So 30 is going to be battery. 85, we're just going to ground that. And if you're doing like a fan setup, that's your normally open temperature switch. But we're just going to go ahead and ground that because we're switching positive. 87, this is what's being jumped, turned on and off. There's a switch right here between 30 and 87. This is our power, okay? When 86 gets hit with voltage, it snaps this switch shut. So we're going to take 12 volts from the battery and send it straight through to the sniper. This 86, this post here, is going to be our voltage from the key. So when we turn the key on, it closes this and sends that power. Now if it's terrible enough or it's falling off enough, this might also not want to fire. In that case, we'll just put in a standard toggle switch. We'll share the power, 12 volt, 12 volt. Flip the switch, energize that thing, and boom, we'll have a nice clean 12 volts up to the sniper. I really love wiring. Okay, got the relay hooked in here. So ground, nice 12 volt to sniper, and this is from the key running back in. I'm concerned we don't have enough voltage to even flip this relay. Now they do make some relays out there that'll run down to like 8, but I didn't have any in stock, and there's not going to be any out here where I live. Now if this doesn't work, we could just commandeer this or one of these wires here for a switched on the inside. Shouldn't be too bad, but let's give it a whirl. This would be ideal if it works. Okay, key on, fuel pump, prime. Okay. Nope. Easy way to tell. Pull up my app. There's an app for that. There's an app for everything anymore. Okay, I'm looking for an RPM signal. Right now it's 0. When I crank, it's either going to say sync or immediately show an RPM signal. Okay. Nope. I just got a pop-up that said connection lost. So what that means is while I'm cranking, the computer's shutting off. So we'll have to go the other way. I could, well, wonder if I run into town. See, I think it's this key, this rinky-dinky key thing here. I got to go to town anyway to get a switch. So I might get another lawnmower key, because what's happening is that key itself is what's dropping the voltage, I believe. The starter shouldn't be drawing that many amps, but I got to get a switch anyway. So I'd like to try to keep it simple, like I said. If not, we'll put a switch in. I don't know, we'll drill a hole somewhere. Oh, the whole dash is falling out. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. Be back in a few. Back with some goodies. I'm going to try to make this work because of the beforehand reasons. I got a big 30 amp universal switch here, bigger than a lawnmower. Those are only little 10 amps. I don't know what this one is. It's Henco in Mexico. There's no part number for me to research it. Another thing we notice here is this is the main feed from the battery. Look how small that wire is. And I traced it, and both of these that are wrapped up go down to the starter. So this is the starter solenoid, of course, and this is the battery, which is jumping off of the starter, then goes to the battery through the big cable. So we're losing a lot of amperage there. So I'm going to rewire this and use this big 10 gauge. Battery is going to go straight from the battery into the back of the switch. Everything else will be wired the same. Essentially, whatever's on here, I'll trust that it needs, like ignition, and there's 2 accessories here. One is what we have running to the relay now. The other goes somewhere else. I'm not sure what that is. Let me trace that one quick and figure out what that is. We may not need it. I'm going to try to take as much load off of this as possible. Well, I had this in the dash, but I actually just pulled it out and ran the meter across it. Same thing is happening. When I go to crank it, we're losing a cajillion billion mega gigawatts off of this. So I believe we're going to have to run this line switched, but we're going to use that relay we already put in, and I'll explain that here. So again, the goal here is to have a clean 12 volt to the sniper for keyed. We've got this relay in here which is pulling a clean 12 volts from here, but we are switching 12 volts right here on the ignition, which I've pulled out here. So what I'm actually going to do is loop this relay, the power side, from 30 over, and we're going to switch our ground. Yeah, that way we're not dragging more positives in and switching it on a little rinky-dink switch. I always try to switch grounds whenever possible. So I'm going to take this off, just make a quick loop, jump the positives. We can take this positive that was running into the cab out of the equation then. Then all I have to do is run a ground into the cab to a switch, from the switch to a ground in the cab. When we flip that switch, it grounds the relay, and we'll get our 12 volts. So this is what that looks like. Our 30 is running over to our 86, which was our switch positive. And I've unhooked the negative now, because if I hook up the negative, listen. Boom. There you go. So now we'll just run a negative into the cab. This can just lay down. That's not going to hurt anything. We'll run a negative into the cab from here. And then we'll put a little switch in and ground it in there, and we'll try that out. Ran back up to the shop to get, or try to find a pressure regulator, and I did. This is from Independence version 1, way back in the day. And it's got a nice liquid-filled fuel pressure gauge on this, so we can dial that in too. Got the wiring done, so this is the last part. Now we can turn the key, see if it'll fire. Okay, so now that is in. And if I hook up my ground on my relay as a shortcut to get fuel pressure, oh, way too high. We got to bring that down. So now I can make an adjustment here, set that fuel pressure, and then we're ready to crank this thing up. Well, there's a big storm about to hit here any minute. I can see the rain dumping on the horizon on the hillside there. I think we're ready to fire this thing. So let's flip the switch. That'll turn the ECU on. Run the fuel pump, there we go. Fire. There it goes. Oh, it sounds so much better. Third already idled down. It's gonna be a little wavy for a second. It's learning, it's figuring things out. It sounds so much better though. Yes, EFI. Running way better than that carb that came out of the bottom of the water well. I got it set to about 60. Boy, that storm's really coming in quick. Wind is blowing. I'm gonna start picking stuff up so I can get this hood closed. It's about to dump rain on us, but it's alive. Yes. Woo! I think it's going to get really nasty here in just a second. Well, fellers and fellas, guys, been waiting about an hour now, and looking at the radar, it is not going to let up all the way through the night, so we're going to lose light here pretty soon. So unfortunately, We cannot get that transport tire swap to get this into the shop, but nonetheless, we did get EFI on the Mopar monster truck, and this thing sounds incredible. It runs so much smoother, it starts easier. I can't wait to see what it does throttled down with the big tires on it. Speaking of, next time you see this truck, that's what we're going to be going after. Fix that cross member, get the shifter in here, mount that digital dash in there, and then figure out if we could wrestle on those huge tires and then go have fun with this thing. In the meantime, I'm going to pick up tools, figure out my mess here, and then start packing for my biggest revival yet. Next Friday, a guy's going to be in Canada. That's right. Finally doing it, going up north to my neighbors. We're going to try to get a really awesome rig running and drive it across the border over 900 miles back home to Tennessee. So please stay tuned for that. And if you're not subscribed, hit that button. It's free, no obligation, and you get a notification when new videos come out. Thanks, guys, for watching. Appreciate you all so very much, and look forward to seeing you next Friday.